Chapter 366, Comrades in the Battle of Marriage. Back home again, Fang Hao was surprised to find that Guolan had cooked several dishes, and it seemed there was no need to go out for dinner. He asked, "Why did you personally cook?" "I thought we were going out." "I thought going out might not be hygienic, and it's troublesome to go out and wait in line. Both my son and I are hungry, so I decided to cook. I need to clarify in advance, my culinary skills may not match yours, so don't complain about the taste. As long as it's edible, let's just enjoy it." Guolan felt a bit embarrassed. She was confident in her cooking, but after having 2 meals with Fang Hao, she realized the wisdom in the saying that one should keep learning throughout their life. "I don't care, I'm hungry. As long as it goes down, I won't find it lacking." Fang Hao chuckled and went to wash his hands, preparing to have dinner. Dinner turned out to be quite pleasant. After dinner, with their son playing with tanks in his room, Guolan asked, "How come your ex-wife left so obediently and didn't stay? She should have some self-awareness." Fang Hao didn't mention the messy things his ex-wife was involved in outside. He and Guolan hadn't reached that level of intimacy. Guolan asked, "Then when I first came, why didn't she have that self-awareness?" "Because she didn't believe you were really my girlfriend. She thought you were just a shield I found randomly. When you came for the second time and became familiar with my son, she believed it. However, from what I know about her, she won't give up easily. She'll continue to entangle me and my son." Fang Hao glanced at Guolan and said, "You also need to be careful. She can't stand seeing me doing well. If you're with me, she might hold a grudge against you. She's meticulous and scheming, she might plot against you. If she sees you in trouble, she'll definitely be very happy." Guolan sighed and asked, "What makes her so outstanding?" "The car you saw this afternoon is hers. She just returned from overseas, and that was the car that picked her up. We were married for 4 years, and she always appeared to be a good girl in front of me, innocent, sweet, and sometimes a bit willful, but harmless. But in reality, she betrayed me and had hidden industries outside. She's very good at using relationships with her relatives, friends, and the older generation to develop herself. She has a side that I don't know about." Fang Hao smiled confidently and said, "After I found out about her betrayal, I didn't want to argue with her or take advantage of her. When we divorced, I only asked for my son. I didn't argue about anything else with her because I don't need her charity. If we go all the way, what you see now is what you'll get in the future." Guolan looked at Fang Hao sympathetically and said, "Leaving her is indeed the right decision. Otherwise, with your personality, she would have controlled you tightly." Fang Hao also looked at Guolan and said, "For us, it's not exactly dating anymore, it's more like cooperating and partnering. I'm not good at dating either, this is my first time." Guolan nodded and continued, "If life is like a battlefield, our partnership should make us the best comrades, covering each other, overcoming difficulties on the journey, eliminating hidden dangers that could disrupt our lives, whether they are people or things. We'll weather the storms together, live through thick and thin, and grow old together. Isn't this kind of husband and wife relationship more reliable?" "Makes sense." Fang Hao smiled. This woman's way of thinking was a bit different from the ordinary. He asked, "Guolan, how confident are you that we can go all the way?" In response, Guolan held up 3 fingers. 3% chance, that's fitting. It starts with talent, entangles with looks, and succumbs to reality, Fang Hao self-mockingly remarked. "Oh, how do you know it's only a 3% chance and not 30%? Guolan inquired. "Well, you'll have to ask yourself. Do you have any feelings for me?" Fang Hao asked. "None," Guolan honestly replied. Her acquaintance with Fang Hao was more of a task-based blind date, mostly due to Huang Yidao's influence. Fang Hao's indecisive personality wasn't something she liked, even though, from the perspective of complementary marriage, he would be a suitable match for her. Fang Hao, in many aspects, could be the most suitable person for her. Ding ding. Guolan's phone rang, and she furrowed her brows. After answering the call, her expression became even more solemn. A few minutes later, she hung up and said to Fang Hao, "My grandma isn't feeling well, I need to go back immediately. The plane tickets are already booked for me. Do you need me to come with you? I might not be helpful in other aspects, but I can assist in medical matters." Fang Hao casually offered. "No need for your abilities, it's a heart problem." "Seeing me will make her feel better," Guolan said with hesitation. "I understand. I'll take you to the airport." Fang Hao called his son, and they went to the airport together. Watching Guolan's plane ascend into the sky, Fang Hao reached out his hand, attempting to grasp it, only to realize that, though it seemed close, there was an unbridgeable distance. Perhaps, this is our gap. You are the heiress of a top-tier family, while I am just one of millions of ordinary farmers. For us to be together, we first need to break through the rigid class barriers. It's fortunate if I gain, and destiny if I lose. Dad, when I grow up, I want to be like stepmom, and I want to be even more awesome. I don't want to be a doctor like you or mom. Oh, do you know what your mom does? Chairman. Oh, Dad, what does a chairman do? Oh, how did you know Mom is a chairman? Mom picked me up during the day, and there was a driver who called Mom chairman. It seemed that Suro hadn't been idle these past few days. She must have gotten some information from old dog Zhang. Fang Hao said, "You're still young now, and what you want to do may change as you grow up. However, remember, your life is your own. You're not an extension of Dad and Mom. You don't have to follow in our footsteps. You're not an appendix to your stepmom either. What you need to do is be yourself. We may be as insignificant as ants, but we should still have lofty aspirations. Life is fragile, but we should have an indomitable spirit." Although his son couldn't fully understand, he nodded in agreement with his father's powerful words. Unable to see the plane's dot anymore, Fang Hao and his son drove back home. "Dad, I miss Yue Xia. Tomorrow, Mom will take you to see her." "Dad, how did you know?" "Mom didn't want me to tell you." "Silly kid." Fang Hao felt uncomfortable, as if he was about to go through the cycle of breakdown and healing again. His ex-wife asking their daughter to come back meant that the treatment wasn't going well, and the overseas doctors couldn't come up with a good plan. There could be reasons for the deterioration of the illness or their daughter not cooperating with the treatment. A crying daughter all day long, according to American laws, those hospitals would advise his ex-wife to give up. She didn't want to tell Fang Hao about their daughter's return to avoid stimulating his emotions and escalating conflicts, so she informed him through their son. "Suro, what do you want me to do? I am a doctor, true, and my professional duty is to treat every patient. But why should I treat you and Zhang's daughter? What face do you have to ask me to save your daughter? Do you want me to repay evil with kindness? How will you repay my kindness? Suro, what do you want me to do? I am a doctor, true, and my professional duty is to treat every patient. But why should I treat you and Zhang's daughter? What face do you have to ask me to save your daughter? Do you want me to repay evil with kindness? How will you repay my kindness?" Chapter 367, Royal Physician Lao Wang. As expected. The next day, the ex-wife arrived early and said to Fang Hao, "I just talked to the teacher and got leave for our son. It's been a long time since I played with him. I'll take him out to relax. You don't mind, right? Don't take my son to see your old lover. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless." Fang Hao knew that refusal was futile because his ex-wife was shameless. Moreover, she had a reason to come and see their son after returning from abroad. He arrived at the hospital and found Dean Chen and two other unfamiliar female doctors standing outside his office. Dean Chen introduced them as representatives from the obstetrics and gynecology department who came to discuss the treatment plan for Chang Yu. "Zhang, what are you up to?" Fang Hao pointed to a nearby cardboard box and said, "It's all there. If you want it, I can give it to you in principle. But..." He paused slightly, the meaning was clear. "Why should I give you what you want just because you say so?" He glanced at them and continued, "I won't make it difficult for you too, but you need to call Dean Zhang and let her talk to me. I'll make it convenient for her, and she should do the same for me." The two doctors looked at Dean Chen, who, after a moment of contemplation, said, "Follow Dr. Fang's suggestion." After a while, Fang Hao received a call from the obstetrics and gynecology department's office. The person on the other end claimed to be Zhang. Fang Hao didn't care if it was true or not. He demanded the medical records for Chang Lintian's 5 years of treatment. Surprisingly, they agreed. About an hour later, the obstetrics and gynecology department sent a cardboard box, and Fang Hao handed over his materials. Dean Chen was a bit curious and asked, "What's this?" "Some scrap paper." Dean Zhang thought I was a fool and tried to fool me. Fang Hao opened the box, revealing records of treatments and recoveries, but they were obviously not Chang Lintian's. Someone had mixed them up. He only needed to compare the estimated dates with the records in the box to determine their authenticity. Zhang couldn't have fabricated everything so meticulously within an hour. Dean Chen, not being proficient in medical skills, only recognized the names of patients on the top and asked, "Chang Lintian? Is she a classmate of your mother, Professor Zhou Fen?" "Yes." "Dean, do you also know her?" Fang Hao was a bit surprised as he suddenly remembered that Dean Chen was older than Zhou Fen and Chang Lintian. He might know about their past. Dinshan said, "Of course, I know her. Several decades ago, our province had a prestigious university, Jiangdong University. Due to historical reasons, many experts and professors from around the country sought refuge at Jiangdong University to teach. At that time, Jiangdong University had a great reputation nationwide. Many of the top majors at Peking University and Tsinghua University today were later moved from Jiangdong University." Fang Hao, afraid of a lengthy historical discussion, said, "Were you also from the same period as my mother and them? Zhang Jun's mother said you wrote love letters to the little beauty in her dormitory. That little beauty couldn't be my mother, Professor Zhou, right? No. Old matters are best left in the past and not mentioned. Then let's not talk about it. You mentioned Chang Lintian just now, do you know her? Are you familiar? I'm not familiar with her, and she wouldn't be familiar with someone like me. She manages her family business, building a family empire. While I teach at Jiangdong University, I've carved my own path. Self-made emperor? Do you really think you're like someone named Zhou, who hides in a small building and claims self-rule? You're nothing." Fang Hao nodded but said, "Yes, Dinshan is absolutely right. If there's time, I'd like to hear about your past experiences. Regarding this Zhang Lintian." He deliberately paused. "Did he come to you for medical help? Doesn't Dinshan know about the conflicts between Chang Lintian and the Chang and Li families? It seems like they're all blocking information." Fang Hao said, "No, does he have an illness?" Dinshan said, "He has always been ill." "Do you know Wang Hanlin? The royal physician Wang Hanlin?" "Yes, that's him. We all call him Lao Wang. For these years, he has been serving as Chang Lintian's personal doctor." "Fang Hao, your outstanding performance has piqued Lao Wang's curiosity, and he wants to have a chat with you. So, the old Wang that Zhouyan mentioned is this guy." Fang Hao didn't let go of any information channels, and he managed to gather some information. Zhouyan knew about the doctor who treated Chang Lintian, but she hadn't seen Lao Wang in person, only heard of him. Chang Lintian didn't like women like Zhouyan asking about him, keeping an air of mystery and not revealing his health issues. The social circle in Jiangdong City is indeed small. Is this the despairing 80-20 rule? Fang Hao said, "I've heard Director Huang Yidao mention the royal physician, but I haven't met him. If there's a chance, I'd like to chat with the legendary royal physician and learn from him." So, Director Huang Yidao also wanted to develop you into a royal physician. With your abilities, you deserve such a status and position. Dinshan felt he understood why Director Huang Yidao supported Fang Hao in all aspects. It was because of the immense benefits behind being a royal physician. Thinking further, with Fang Hao's youth and exceptional medical talent, providing him with a platform for takeoff was only a matter of time. Seizing the opportunity while Fang Hao is still young is crucial. If they don't support him now, once Fang Hao soars, they won't have the chance. Director Huang Yidao is indeed someone from the capital, with such keen insight. Dinshan sighed and said, "These days, I'll make an appointment with Lao Wang, and then we can all meet." "Excellent." Fang Hao's phone rang, and it was from Zhang Xin. Her tone was aggressive, so he hung up directly. After a while, Zhang Xin called again, and Fang Hao waited a moment before answering. Zhang Xin said, "Fang Hao, give me the information I asked for." "Oh, you found out? Looks like you're in a hurry." "Unfortunately, I'm not in a hurry." Fang Hao said, "No, I've given you all the treatment plans I have. Din Zhang, Chengyu's brain nerves have been restored. Once her injuries heal, she will regain normal brain function. As for other injuries on her body, with your capabilities, it should be a piece of cake." Zhang Xin said, "You're lying. You haven't given me the spinal information." "Look again, I gave it to you. Also, what the hell did you give me?" Fang Hao cursed and hung up the phone. "Zhang Xin, you have the ability to make Chengyu stand up and show me. Chengyu, I gave you a chance. Since you're not willing to expose the old things, then continue lying down and enjoy the harm the old things are causing you. Then, you can continue yearning for the hope he gives you. In the end, you will be in despair." Chapter 368, The Bitter Plan. At the end of the day, after finishing work, Fang Hao took Zhou back home and discovered his ex-wife and son were in the villa. In addition to them, there were also Zhou Xiang and a few others. "Honey, my mom has acknowledged you now, and since you're also the attending doctor, why don't you stay and have dinner together with us?" Fang Hao's ex-wife saw him entering and hurriedly made a request. "No, your two families are the close ones. What am I, an outsider? Besides, I have a surgery at the hospital that I can't miss." Fang Hao declined and left directly. Suro bit her lip, dissatisfied, but helpless at the same time. Su Buiyuan came out and asked, Fang Hao still won't stay? Give him some more time, Su Ro said with a sigh. She had to go back to comfort her mother, Zhou Fen, and it took a while before her mother gave up on the idea of waiting for Fang Hao to come back for dinner. However, Su Ro wasn't too worried because Guolan had already returned to the capital. After the meal, Zhou Xiang and others discussed plans for Zhou Fen's recovery. Since Fang Hao was not present, their discussions seemed somewhat futile. Recalling Fang Hao's previous suggestion, Su Buiyuan said to Zhou Xiang, what about that girl named Zhou Jiajia? Among your family members, who raised her? Why is she so similar to Zhou Zhou and Xiao Rou? Su Ro interrupted, didn't the paternity test results come out? Zhou Jiajia has no relationship with your family or with me. Why bother asking about her? Fang Hao mentioned that Zhou Jiajia might be a factor helpful for Zhou Fen's recovery, so we need to investigate it thoroughly. Su Buiyuan now believed in Fang Hao because of his professionalism. Having tried to read a few medical books himself, Su Buiyuan realized he had no insights whatsoever. Only then did he understand that Fang Hao truly had a gift. He's not trying to help my mom recover, he just wants to find out about Ling Tian, Su Ro thought to herself, fully aware, but unable to stop it. Zhou Xiang said, I've heard about this girl a few times. I'll gather everyone later and ask around. Each person should have their blood drawn, and then do a paternity test with Zhou Jiajia. Oh, give all the blood to Fang Hao for testing, Su Buiyuan suggested, following another one of Fang Hao's requests. Zhou Jiajia, you've caught the attention of my husband. You can't hide, and I want to know who you really are and why Ling Tian would be interested in someone like you. Su Ro schemed on the sidelines. Su Buiyuan whispered to Su Ro, Xiao Rou, giving Fang Hao everyone's blood is also to help him screen for bone marrow compatible with Jiajia. The most reliable treatment for that illness is a bone marrow transplant. Yeah, I know my husband won't let us down, Su Ro nodded, her eyes showing anticipation and conflict. Su Buiyuan continued, Fang Hao is a good young man. You must reconcile with him as soon as possible. Otherwise, he will go on blind dates and remarry. Then he'll start a new family, and you'll have no connection with him. Su Ro realized something and asked, Dad, did you hear some rumors? Regarding Fang Hao's situation at the Provincial People's Hospital, there are people creating a buzz, saying he's the perfect candidate for the imperial physician. In terms of medical skills, Fang Hao is indeed worthy of the title of imperial physician. You must know that having a son-in-law who is an imperial physician brings many conveniences to a family. Husband has become famous indeed, Su Ro said, which family is eyeing my husband? Those old guys are inquiring whether Fang Hao is really divorcing you and severing the son-in-law relationship with me. They're itching to make a move. Also, don't send Jiajia abroad. Stop making these unilateral decisions thinking they're wise. Let Fang Hao treat Jiajia. Okay, I got it. I plan to talk to my husband tonight. Later, Su Ro took her son back home and found Fang Hao in the study, immersed in medical studies, as always. This man, persistently studying. There was only Fang Hao in the room. She had her son go take a bath and put him to bed. Then she came to the study, kneeling directly in front of Fang Hao, instantly shedding tears. Darling, scold me, hit me, do whatever makes you happy, as long as it brings you relief. I won't resist anything you do to me. Fang Hao was a bit bewildered, saying, What do you want now? Is this the way you think you can seek my forgiveness and convince me to remarry you? You're dreaming. Honey, don't be angry. Scold me, hit me. It will make you feel better, and I'll feel better too. Su Ro said again, tears streaming down her face. Fang Hao lit a cigarette, noticing that his hands were trembling. He put down the lighter and said, Is it for the sake of your daughter Jiajia? Indeed, my husband is truly clever, he understands me the best. It seems my husband is still the one who understands me the most. Su Ro said, Honey, even if you don't consider Jiajia as your daughter, just think of her as a sick child unrelated to you. Would you save her, right? Let that old dogson come and beg me. Let him kneel in front of me like a dog, just like you, and then beg me. Fang Hao said coldly. Honey. Su Ro looked up and saw Fang Hao's cold and angry eyes, and she was scared. At this point, you don't even want to pay any price for your betrayal. Do you think it's possible? Do you think I, Fang Hao, should revolve my world around you? And do you cherish that old thing's feathers so much? Does he dare to do it but not admit it? Honey, please, don't be like this. Don't be angry. Hit me, scold me. Just hit me a few times, and you'll feel better. I'll feel better too. You asked for it, and I'll fulfill your wish. Slap. Slap. Fang Hao slapped her twice, causing her mouth to bleed, and then he kicked her out of the study. He went back, lit a cigarette, and his hands were steady. Suro, why resort to such a trick? On the other side, Suro returned to the master bedroom's bathroom, spat out a mouthful of blood into the sink, bright red. She looked again, and both sides of her gums were broken. Honey, you've gone too far. After tidying up a bit, she sent a voice message to Zhang Lingtian. He answered, heard her choked voice, and hung up directly. Then he sent a video call. Susu, you miss me again. Susu, what's wrong? Who bullied you? Is it that little turtle? Damn, does he want to die? How dare he bully you? I'll go over and kill him. If his mother comes, I won't be able to save him. On the video call, Zhang Lingtian was suddenly furious. Suro said, don't come over. It's my fault. I asked him to treat our daughter. My daughter doesn't need him to treat her. He's not qualified to treat my daughter. If that little turtle dares to lay a hand on you, I'll break both of his hands. I'm so angry, so angry. I'm coming over to kill him. Lingtian, you. Suro was a bit surprised and didn't understand why Zhang Lingtian's reaction was so extreme. Moreover, Zhang Lingtian in the video seemed a bit abnormal. He picked up a chair with one hand and smashed it towards the French window on the side. She could hear the heavy impact. The video suddenly hung up, and she became more worried. Then she requested another call, which was refused. However, she quickly received a message from Zhang Lingtian, is the little turtle confident in treating her? Lingtian, what's wrong with you? Why won't you answer the video call? I need to see that you're okay to feel relieved. I'm fine. Yue Xia Huo and I are downstairs in the living room. I'm feeling better now. If you think the little turtle can cure her, let him do it. My husband can definitely cure her. It's just that he has conditions. What conditions? My husband wants you to come and beg him. Lingtian, for the sake of our daughter, come and apologize to my husband and make things clear. Susu, don't fall into his trap and be led by him. You understand him so well. Use Plan B. Chapter 369, You Are My Calamity. The next day, Fang Hao woke up and prepared breakfast. He called his son to come and eat, but couldn't find his ex-wife. Upon entering the bedroom, he saw his ex-wife covering her face with a blanket. Walking over, he noticed that she had turned away, tightly gripping the blanket. He pulled it slightly, realizing she was holding onto it even tighter. This is my home. What are you doing here? I'll get up after you leave. My face must look terrible now, and I don't want you all to see. I won't get up. His ex-wife's voice under the blanket sounded weak and helpless. You never had any shame. Fang Hao ignored her, not bothering to consider that last night's 2 slaps might have caused bruising and swelling. After his son finished breakfast, Fang Hao took him to kindergarten. He then went to the hospital to continue his busy day. Before long, he received the blood samples of most members from Zhou Su's and Su Bo's families, sent by Su Buiyuan's people, for testing. Busy and exhausted, Fang Hao skipped lunch and settled for a couple of bites of biscuits. Around 3 in the afternoon, he received a call from the nurse station, informing him that someone was looking for him. Thinking it was time to start the afternoon treatment for Chang Lao, Fang Hao delegated the testing work to someone reliable. As he walked out of the elevator, he heard a voice that made his soul almost leave his body. Dad. He felt his entire being freeze. Initially intending to escape quickly, he found that his feet wouldn't respond. Memories of the past 3 or 4 years flooded his mind like a torrent, making him relive everything. In that brief moment, time seemed to fly by, and he experienced the past few years all over again. Sweet, sour, bitter, spicy, and salty, all mixed together. A force from deep within made him reflexively turn around. Familiar, tender face, the clothes she wore when they last parted, and the striking short hair. Dad. His daughter, Fang Jie, was back. Dad, I missed you. His daughter ran towards Fang Hao, gasping for breath, looking at him with teary eyes, but a sweet and innocent smile on her face. Fang Hao's hands opened involuntarily, quickly squatting down to embrace his daughter. Jie, why are you here? Who brought you here? Dad, it's so good to be in Dad's arms. Dad. Hearing his daughter's increasingly weak voice, Fang Hao suddenly realized something was wrong. He quickly checked her, finding her on the verge of falling asleep. Jie, what's wrong with you? I'm sleepy. I want to sleep. Can Dad hold me to sleep? I miss Dad. Dad. Jie. Fang Hao hastily checked his daughter's eyes and pulse, realizing she was just tired, not in critical condition. He felt a slight relief. In reality, his daughter's health was in a terrible state. He stood up, holding his daughter. Looking around, he saw a woman with a mask and sunglasses standing at the safety exit. Even though she tried to conceal her identity, Fang Hao immediately recognized her as his ex-wife. "Is this how you're returning our daughter to me? Is this how responsible a mother you are? Where is that old dog Zhang? Why isn't he here?" Fang Hao carried his daughter and shouted for his ex-wife in the hallway. To his surprise, she hastened her pace downstairs, resembling someone who had done something wrong and felt guilty. He called his ex-wife, and her familiar ringtone echoed from below. When she answered, he coldly questioned, "What do you mean by this?" "Husband, I can't face you today. Don't embarrass us. Help me take care of our daughter, consider it my debt to you." "Husband, our daughter is innocent. If you must hate someone, hate me. I'll let you hate me. Come back and take your daughter. Ling Tian doesn't want our daughter. He abandoned both me and our daughter. I still have your 2 children in my belly. As a woman, I can't do anything. Husband, if you don't want our daughter, just leave her by the roadside or under a big bridge. Do whatever makes you happy." Upon hearing his ex-wife hang up, Fang Hao was furious to the point that his liver trembled. "Suro, you've really outdone yourself." Fang Hao gritted his teeth, itching to chase after his ex-wife and slap her, but the presence of his daughter in his arms forced him to prioritize the immediate situation. He applied for a hospital room and discovered that there was already a registered VIP room for Fang Jiejia, prepared specifically for his daughter. "Suro, did you plan it to this extent?" Fang Hao didn't care about all that and arranged for his daughter to be admitted. Su Buiyuan and Zhou also came. They had heard about Jiejia being admitted to the hospital. Zhou considered Jiejia her granddaughter rather than a step-granddaughter. Su Buiyuan inquired about the treatment, thinking Fang Hao looked concerned for Jiejia's sake. He comforted him briefly and stayed behind as a companion. News of Fang Jiejia's admission to the hospital couldn't be concealed. Chen, the hospital director, and other department heads came to visit, expressing their goodwill to Fang Hao. Another piece of information that couldn't be kept secret was the result of the bone marrow compatibility test Fang Hao had done in the afternoon. It turned out to be a match. He was completely stunned. He and his daughter had no biological connection. She was Zhang Lingtian's child, and theoretically, they had absolutely no chance of bone marrow compatibility, only a 1 in a million probability. Yet, this 1 in a million chance happened to him. "Jiejia, our fate is indeed narrow. Perhaps in a previous life, I owed you a great debt, or maybe I did something wrong to you. It led us to have this destined relationship as father and daughter in this lifetime. Let me repay you. You are truly the calamity I have to face." The hospital's department head and other experts, especially Luo Xuezhuan, expressed their willingness to perform the bone marrow transplant surgery for Fang Hao. Fang Hao expressed his gratitude but declined Luo Xuezhuan's offer. He planned to have Lu Jing and Huang Yidao do the surgery together with him. In reality, he didn't need Lu Jing and Huang Yidao's help, he could do it better on his own. However, he was concerned about the potential side effects of taking mobilization drugs, such as numbness in his limbs, which might hinder his ability to operate. At the same time, he worried that if the peripheral blood extraction method failed, Huang Yidao would directly use a puncture to forcefully extract some bone marrow from his spine. Huang Yidao didn't refuse and readily agreed. Lu Jing was on her period but indicated that her contraception period had ended, so she could freely move around. She was eager to see Fang Hao and had already planned her schedule to return to Jiangdong City. Su Buiyuan couldn't hold back the good news and told Su Ro about it. He urged her to come back to the hospital, emphasizing that she should spend more time with Fang Hao. At this moment, Su Ro was at Tianji Peak, having a meal with Zhang Lingtian. After Su Ro received Su Buiyuan's call, she was stunned, tears streaming down her face. "Susu, what's wrong?" Zhang Lingtian was alarmed and asked, "Is it Jiejia gone? That little turtle couldn't save my daughter? I told you, that little turtle is mediocre. He hasn't even grown his fur, what medical expertise does he have? I'll make him pay with his life for my daughter." "Shut up. The bone marrow of the little turtle matches our daughter's. She can be saved now." "What? The little turtle's bone marrow matches our daughter's?" "Yes. Our daughter belongs to my husband, not you. My husband is much better than you. Your private hospital and overseas endeavors were all useless. My husband is amazing. I need to find my husband." Suro lost her appetite, picked up her phone, and rushed outside. "You?" Zhang Lingtian turned green with anger. Chapter 370, Relinquishing Custody. Lu Jing arrived at the hospital ward and saw Fang Hao along with a smiling Fang Jiejia lying in bed. The little one's face, beneath the shiny bald head, was so breathtakingly beautiful, resembling an angel, tempting people to shower her with affection. Even the mischievous Fang Tian, who used to be a handful, was now behaving well, playing happily with Fang Jia. While admiring the scene, Lu Jing couldn't help but feel a bit envious, and there was also a hint of worry. If Fang Hao and Su Rou didn't divorce, this family would be perfect. She also noticed Su Rou's arrival. The children became even more obedient when they saw Su Rou. However, she observed Fang Hao silently leaving the room, so she followed suit. Back in his office, Fang Hao resisted the urge to smoke. As he was preparing for the bone marrow transplant, Fang Hao had temporarily quit smoking. Lu Jing followed and asked, "I heard old Su also came. Is he here to assist with your daughter's treatment?" "No. Master did come, and he cares a lot about me, but with you and Huang Yidao here, I believe you can handle it. Master returned temporarily, he's leaving again tomorrow." Fang Hao hadn't expected so many people to express goodwill. It seemed like everyone knew about his daughter's illness. He knew it was either because he had gained recognition, or someone was behind the scenes stirring things up. He thought the latter was unlikely because Zhang Lingtian and Su Rou, who knew the truth, wouldn't reveal it. Returning temporarily? Well, focus on your matters first, and talk to him about his affairs later. Fang Hao pondered as Lu Jing seemed to imply something. Still, since he had chosen to treat his daughter, he had to prioritize the present situation. "How's Zhang? It seems like he's been quiet lately. Is everything okay?" Fang Hao changed the topic. He hadn't contacted Zhang Jun actively because they were not on the same level, and frequent initiation might imply sycophancy, which wasn't his style. Besides, his own life was chaotic enough to keep him occupied. Lu Jing's expression dimmed slightly, but she didn't hide anything. She said, "Old Zhang is a bit afraid of retaliation from Zhang Lingtian. He transferred his assets to the capital, but the people there are somewhat exclusive. He doesn't feel as comfortable as he did in Jiangdong City. The disparity, combined with his lingering concerns about the kidney source, has made him uneasy. However, his life is still carefree. He's playing with antiques over there and has made some friends. Oh, when I came, he was discussing digging up a big tomb in the northwest with a few buddies. Zhang Jun going tomb robbing was damaging to his karma." Fang Hao couldn't agree with such actions. He said, "I think he doesn't need to leave Jiangdong City, nor should he fear an old guy. A senior citizen, even if he was once heroic in his youth, is now old. Even if he is still vigorous and ambitious, what can he achieve? Now is the era of you young people." Lu Jing agreed, "That's true. An old man, even if he was once a hero, is now old. Even if he's still full of vigor and ambitions, what can he do? It's the era of you young people now." Fang Hao lowered his voice and asked, "How's your family's old Neo doing? I heard he's quite crazy recently, probably about to make some achievements." Lu Jing whispered back, "He's not a good thing. Don't get too close to him. He only cares about himself, is very self-righteous, and has a strong desire for control." Fang Hao was a bit puzzled, not understanding why Lu Jing would evaluate Zhang Jing in such a way. However, he had always thought of Zhang Jing as an old fox. Lu Jing lightly bit her lip, ultimately not expressing the grievances in her heart. She said, "Fang Hao, remember, don't trust the Cheng family, Li family, Zhang family, and even your father-in-law Su family, as well as the Zhou family, and others who are currently providing you significant help. If they ask you to do things beyond the scope of medicine, resolutely refuse. Because they only consider their family's interests and won't care about you, an outsider. I know they will use and harm me, but I believe you won't." Fang Hao grinned, and Lu Jing's arrival gave him a sense of holding on to a big thigh again. Although Lu Jing currently holds no position at the Provincial People's Hospital, she is content. She felt reassured, she hadn't misunderstood who Fang Hao was. She asked, "What's going on between you and Su Rou? I can see that she's not as cold towards you as before. She looks at you differently, and she even calls you husband. Did you two remarry?" Fang Hao replied, "Remarrying is impossible because the cracks already exist. Everything she's doing now is just a facade. She wants to remarry, not because she loves me or our family, but because she wants the family name to remain intact while enjoying the excitement outside. My son and daughter are just excuses she uses to get closer to me." After a moment of contemplation, he continued, "Not long ago, Huang Yidao arranged a blind date for me with a girl named Guolan. She didn't dislike me and was willing to accept my son. So, we are trying to get to know each other. That matter, Huang Yidao already mentioned it to me, and I've also met that girl, Guolan. She's outgoing and has a completely different personality from yours. From a marital perspective, she complements your character. Your union with her might not have the emotional resonance you had with Su Ro, but it could be more comfortable and sunny. Lu Jing nodded, a trace of regret flashing in her eyes, but it quickly disappeared, deeply concealed. She said, however, Guolan's family background may not necessarily accept you. I'm afraid you might be jumping from the Su family's pit to the Guo family's pit, ending up with no difference in the end. Fang Hao faced it calmly, saying, that's true, marriages are indeed uncertain. But I'm not thinking about these things now, and neither is Guolan. We've talked about it, and the probability of us reaching the end is only 3%. Right now, we're just in need of each other's identities. Isn't Guolan delaying you then? Not at all. I'm not thinking about remarrying immediately, and it might not be easy in the future. Because my ex-wife is not an easy person. Fang Hao sighed inwardly. Healing the wounds of emotions, replacing them with a new relationship, is indeed a method. But hastily done, how can one be certain that the other person is the right one? Lu Jing sighed, you still haven't let go of your ex-wife. Fang Hao didn't hide it either, saying, first love, for years of marriage, and a child. These emotions are not something you can kick away like a ball. However, that's all there is. It neither increases nor decreases. In the future, these emotions, along with the accompanying resentment, will be entangled and buried deep in my heart. Given time, if it can be eliminated, then it will be. Lu Jing said, well, this will be tough on you. But, this is the real you. I'm glad you're not disheartened and haven't lost your original intention. While they were discussing treatment plans, Su Ro arrived. Lu Jing left first, leaving Fang Hao and Su Ro to talk. Fang Hao glanced at his ex-wife, his eyes filled with complexity. Finally, he sighed and printed a document, handing it to her. Su Ro read it, extremely surprised, and asked, you want me to give up custody of our daughter, and also want Ling Tian to relinquish all rights to her guardianship?